I've gotten a lot of questions about how to plan a trip to Japan, so here are my top tips for planning your trip. Step number one is decide when to go and how long to go for. Japan doesn't look that big on a map, but the amount and range of things that you can see and do is just enormous. It almost is like you can do anything you want in this country. It has every type of geography, it has thousands of islands, it has the world's biggest city. It's like nowhere else on earth. Fascinating. It's culturally so rich and iconic. If you're planning a trip all the way to Japan, it's probably pretty far for you. So you might as well go for at least a week. And the upper limit, you could honestly spend years here and not exhaust the opportunities. Japan is a big country that spans from Russia in the north to Taiwan in the south. So there's a lot of different climatic areas. The main tourist sites, if you're going for sightseeing, are between Tokyo and Hiroshima on Honshu Island in the same latitude, which is a temperate zone with distinct seasons. The seasons in Japan are quite extreme. For example, summer, which is also monsoon season, is quite hot and humid, and winter can be bitter cold if you're in the north of the mountains. The best bet is go during shoulder season, which is March through May or September through November. Of course, Japan having all seasons, there's stuff to do in each season. Skiing is world class, especially at Niseko, the most famous ski resort, which is in Hokkaido Island in the north. There's also a lot of mountains in Nagano in central Japan. Added bonus, soaking in a hot spring in winter is just bliss. Also, the cities are fine to go to in the winter. Spring is a bit iffy weather. It can get rainy or cold, but you have this cherry blossoms. Just remember, you will not have them all to yourself. Sorry. You're not the only one that thought to go to Japan during Sakura Hanami cherry blossom season. Unless you're going hiking in the mountains or to the beaches around Okinawa and the Ryukyu Islands, I would highly suggest avoiding summer. It is extremely humid and not fun to be in a city. Also, it happens to coincide with their typhoon or hurricane season, which brings a lot of rain and storms. So be prepared. That being said, there's a lot of sunny days, and also there's a lot of festivals in the summertime too. In fall, the weather cools down and it's almost perfect. Sunny skies, it's dry season, and you have the autumn foliage, which is not to be underestimated. This is my favorite time to go. It's less crowded, so you can book things on the fly and not worry about major crowds. Of course, for the autumn foliage, there is crowds, but it's mostly domestic tours. Just remember, you can always avoid crowds. Japan is a working country, so if you go during the weekdays, it's usually less crowded than on the weekends, which stuff is jam-packed with domestic tourists. On the weekends, remember, there can be groups of school children visiting the major historical sites, but they're so well behaved you probably won't care. Also, just everything in Japan is cute. So be prepared for cuteness overload. So you got the days off, now you know how long you want to go for and when you want to go, so book those plane tickets. Japan's at the far end of the world, so it's going to be expensive anyway to get there. Which airport should you fly into? So Tokyo has two main international gateways, Haneda, which is closer to the city, and Narita, which handles most of the international traffic, especially intercontinental. Either of these options are great options to fly into Japan. They handle a lot of international arrivals, so you have all the infrastructure and services and amenities you need right when you land. Both are extremely modern with great conveniences, great toilets, and good food options and shopping. Both are extremely well connected into the city, and it's very easy to get into central Tokyo from both of these. They have super shuttle, regular train, buses, and taxis. You can also go directly into another city like Osaka Kansai is a big hub, or some of the other ones like Fukuoka or Hiroshima or Sapporo. So now that you have the flight booked, where should you go in Japan? If you're going during peak season, being late March through the end of May, you might want to make an itinerary and then book some of the hotels for the places and things you know you want to do. Outside of peak season, bookings aren't really essential, and I never make bookings ahead of time. I like the flexibility. If it's your first time to Japan or you have a limited amount of time, I'm suggesting some itineraries that follow. So here's Japan, and as you can see, Tokyo is located in the east, and Hiroshima is located in the west. Along that route passes the bullet train and most of the population and cultural centers of Japan. So going from Tokyo to Hiroshima and everywhere in between will give you a lot of cities, cultural activities, and fun stuff. You probably start and end your trip in Tokyo, which is not a bad thing. Tokyo is the world's biggest city and has so much to do day and night, rain or shine, that you will not be bored. Tokyo has a reputation of being expensive. I don't know where that came from. Okay, next you must go to Kyoto, which is the cultural capital of Japan. So many temples, shrines, tradition, geishas walk the streets, and don't miss Nara, famous for its cute deer that roam the streets in front of the temples. Both were Japan's capitals. Now that you've hit up the essentials, go westward to Himeji Castle, the most beautiful castle in Japan, and then go to Hiroshima, the tragic history of a city now a center for peace, and Miyajima off the coast of Hiroshima with its red torii gate, a symbol of Japan. Next, go to Kansai, whose capital is Osaka, the second biggest city, and is more relaxed and fun-loving than its bigger brother Tokyo. A day or couple day tour from Tokyo is the region of Mount Fuji and the surrounding volcanic lakes and hot springs. A great place to soak up and spend a few days, or climb the thing in July and August. Next, go back in time and to rural Japan in the central mountains to Takayama and the surrounding thatched roof house villages. Japan has such a unique culture that you should partake in some experiences like this. For example, Matsuri festivals with large floats, samurai culture, food tours, or my personal favorite, sumo wrestling. Next, I'm going to cover transport in Japan. So, starting with air, Japanese airlines and budget airlines now cover basically everywhere in the country. You can get anywhere by air. Flying by air can be cheaper than trains, and also it can get you to far-flung areas like the Ryukyu Islands in the south, which are not connected by train. You can rent a car, it's possible, then they have a lot of car rental places, but the roads are really small and parking is a nightmare. I suggest taking trains within Japan. These are very comfortable, extensive, and a lot of departures to everywhere in the country, basically. Trains are also the most expensive form of public transport in Japan. So what you need to do is take advantage of the Japan Rail Pass. This is only available to foreigners in Japan, and it allows the holder of this pass to ride on any Japan rail trains except for the fastest Shinkansen or bullet train called the Nozomi. You can ride them as far as you want, as long as you want, as many times as you want. You can use the bullet train, you can use medium commuter trains, you can use far commuter trains, or you can use local city commuter trains such as the JR Yamanote line in Tokyo, which is the circle or loop line which most tourists need to take. The bullet train from Tokyo Station to Kyoto Station costs about $120. The prices for the Japan Rail Pass go for 7 days, $231 US, 14 days, $370 US, and 21 days, $467 US. So if you're going for 7 days and you take 2 bullet trains, that about covers the cost. So Tokyo to wherever your destination is and your destination back to Tokyo, that means the pass covers itself. Top tip, buy your Japan Rail Pass in your home country from an authorized agent or online, or else you pay more if you buy it in Japan. There's also some other options like the Green Pass. I don't know much about that. I always just buy the regular one and it suits me fine. I was describing the main Japan Rail Pass, but they've also come out with a whole host of regional and local Japan Rail Passes. So you can add those on if you're not going to be taking a lot of JR trains. You can take the local buses. I did that when I was visiting the thatched roof house villages. Just to note, the Japan Rail Pass is a paper pass, so if you lose it, you lose. Otherwise, if you're taking the trains, you tap in and out with your Suica or Passmo card. You can also buy paper tickets and feed them through the feeder. A common question is, do I need to book trains ahead of time? I would say no, unless you really want a specific seat on a specific train. I usually show up to the to the station, read the reader board, see where to go, and just get on that train with my Japan Rail Pass. There are a few trains which require some supplement, which is included in your Japan Rail Pass, but you need to book it ahead of time. All other trains, including the bullet train, have non-reserved cars sections, and obviously subways, commuter trains, and other trains all are free seating. You can book at the station ahead of your departure. There's some rules on the trains. Don't be loud, don't put your feet on the seat, and definitely don't eat in the trains or eat in public. Plus, I mean, Japan is so clean, but they have no trash cans, so you can't even throw away your food. Also, there's no smoking on the street except in designated outside areas. Also, everyone wears face masks. More on that later. A really good alternative to taking trains is, especially if you're on a budget, the bus. The bus can save you on transport and accommodation. It's very cheap, and they have departures all the time, overnight, to any city. And they're really comfortable and have really nice service stops. Of course, it's better to learn the local language, but don't worry if you don't know Japanese in Japan, it's not a big deal. All the signs are in Japanese, but most have English under it, and Google Maps works fabulously. They have everything listed there, and it's great for trip planning. It has all the train schedules and usually bus schedules as well. The easy thing too is all the numbers are in Arabic numerals, so it's very easy to check prices, times, etc. If all else fails, you can ask someone on the street. Japanese are super polite and very friendly and eager to help foreigners. Japan is also very safe. It has one of the lowest crime rates in the G7. In all towns, large and small, right next to the train station, there will invariably be a tourist information center with tons of brochures on attractions, hotels, food options, and transportation links and timetables. 90% of the information is not in the guidebook, so please make use of this. They also employ foreign staff who speak English. Tap water is drinkable, and going to the bathroom in Japan is one of the most enjoyable experiences. Public toilets are plentiful. What about money in Japan? Japan is a cash society, but after COVID, that's changed a little bit. ATMs are ubiquitous, but I'd use the 7-Eleven because they always take foreign card. I really pay for everything using Passmo or Suica card. These are cards that are issued at train stations, and They really can be used to pay for anything from trains to food to clothes to anything in retail. So you can use these for everything, and it's so convenient because you tap in and tap out using the Suica or Passmo cards also. It doesn't matter which card you have, they all function the same, but I would suggest getting Passmo or Suica. They're the most recognized in Tokyo and around the country. There are some other regional ones that aren't accepted everywhere. You can download some apps to check your balance and top up, but I found it no problem to just use cash at any train station or convenience store to top up. What about telecommunications? Japan has one of the most extensive and reliable networks in the world, and that includes mobile internet and phone usage. That being said, if you use your mobile phone from back home, you'll probably incur a lot of roaming charges and your internet will be slow. So I suggest buying either pocket Wi-Fi, you can rent those for your whole trip at the airport. You can actually book it ahead of time and it'll be ready for pickup, or you can just get a SIM card or an eSIM card. eSIM card is probably the easiest. There are multiple kiosks right in the International Arrivals Hall at both Narita and Haneda Airport that are open for all the mobile carriers, as well as some special deals. I used that. The internet wasn't super fast, but it was unlimited. The top carriers are probably SoftBank and NTT Docomo. And every place has Wi-Fi, every hotel. What to pack? Pack the essentials, pack for the season, don't overpack. You can get everything in Japan except for large sizes. Japan is one of the best shopping destinations in the entire world, so just remember that. You can find whatever you're looking for there, and it's probably equal or better quality than you have at home anyways. Japan has been wearing face masks since before COVID, and they still wear them out of courtesy for others. This is my opinion, but I'd bring face masks and wear them in public, just not to offend people or be disrespectful or be that guy when traveling. Also, just a note, every accommodation will provide you with toiletries and a towel, so you don't need to worry about that. Also, don't forget space for your omiyage or souvenirs. I don't pack more than 1 week worth of clothes because every hotel has washing machine and drying machine. Also, every train station, big or small, has coin lockers so you can store your luggage. That is extremely convenient. They also have luggage forwarding, so if you don't want to lug your luggage or if you buy a bunch of souvenirs, you can have it shipped to whatever destination you want in Japan or just kept at the end so you can pick them up before you go home. What about accommodation? Japan has one of the most varied and diverse types of accommodation. They invented the ryokan traditional hotel. They also invented capsule hotels, and they have everything in between. The thing that unites all of the accommodation options is they're all high quality and the service is impeccable, as with everything in Japan. One thing you must do is at least one night you need to stay in a ryokan traditional Japanese hotel, like this one in Kyoto or also in the rural villages. You sleep on a bed on the floor, you get served delicious breakfast and kaiseki dinner. They usually have communal bathroom with hot spring attached to the ryokan. It's glorious. They also have a lot of modern options like business hotels, really good for single people or couples. They have, the latest technology, including nice toilet with the whole Toto washlet. I also stayed in some hostels, which were really nice in terms of hostels, really nice common area, a lot of information. That's probably the best part. Everything is printed on cards, so you can have all the information about the area you want. They all have really clean and great kitchens. And the sleeping area is mostly like capsule style hotels with your own pod and a lot of privacy, and they're always really comfortable and warm. And you got to stay one night in a capsule because why not? You're in Japan. In terms of booking ahead, I don't think it's essential if you go outside busy time, but if you go during the cherry blossom season, then you should probably book ahead. Weekends in Tokyo get really busy too. Bathing etiquette is always confusing, so here's the rules in Japan. You wash yourself completely with soap and water and shampoo before you get into the soaking tub, and then you soak as long as you want. You can use a small towel in the tub or not at all. It's separated from men and women, and tattoos are not allowed. Some people think it's weird, but you just go bathe in the nude. The baths are always clean, plentiful, and cheap. Bathing in Japan is one of my favorite activities. They have so many different kinds of baths. Minerals pour directly from the center of the earth to the bath, and it's so relaxing. There are even spa towns where you walk in your robe from bath to bath. The most popular are Rima Onsen, Beppu, and there's some others. Will I like the food? Oh, foodies, you have come to the right place. Japan is obsessed with food, and you will not be disappointed when you eat in Japan. From even the 7-Eleven to the most exquisite, exclusive Michelin-starred sushi restaurants. Japan has so many Michelin-starred restaurants because of the service and quality of the food. Just Google that, you will be shocked. People eat all the time in Japan. I'm always full. You always wake up with a buffet breakfast at your hotel, then you have lunch, then you have dinner 5 through 10 or 24/7. People with dietary restrictions shouldn't face too many issues. Japan has such a varied and healthy cuisine, you'll probably find what you need. And if not, you can always go to 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven has literally everything and it's great quality. I wouldn't suggest shopping at 7-Eleven at your home country, but in Japan, they're top notch. Traveling with kids? Great idea. Japan is safe, people love kids, they get a lot of attention, there's lots of theme parks and so much cute stuff. I hope this gave you a better overview of how to plan your trip to Japan. Sorry I couldn't cover everything, but I'm super excited for you. You're going to have a blast and so much fun in Japan. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and if you have any tips, leave them in the comments. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say and more tips. Thanks, and subscribe for more Japan travel videos.